going to be talking about landlord and tenancy law in Nigeria. Basically, what I'll be talking about is whether a landlord can unilaterally increase somebody's rent, a tenant's rent, without prior notice. So these are the things that we will be talking about. In the course of our discussion, we'll be looking at a case, a Nigerian case that's going to actually be our precedent for today. The case is a Court of Appeal decision talking about landlord and tenancy law in Nigeria. We should also know that a landlord, of course, if I start defining who a landlord is that person that owns the property and rented it out or let it out to another person called the tenant. If the landlord is renting a house for over 2 years, it's now going to be a lease agreement or a lease transaction. At that point, the landlord or the owner of the building becomes the lessor, while the person taking the house becomes the lessee. But in this situation, or in our topic today, we will be talking about we are going to be talking about an tenant. That's for the 2 years, um 1 year or 2 year at most. When it's more than 2 years, you just know that a lease agreement has been entered and it's no longer tenancy agreement, so to say. So first of all, we'll be talking about the definition of a landlord. A landlord, like I said before. Hi Adams, hi, good evening. How are you doing? Hope you're fine. Like I said before, a landlord is the person that owns the property where you stay. Now, in this case, I'm going to be discussing if the landlord can actually go ahead to give somebody a notice without the person's prior notice, if you can increase the rent or if they can. I'll be talking about notice to quit later today, but for today I'll be talking about the if a landlord can actually give someone a letter of increment without prior notice. Let's dive right into the video. So first thing first, we have this story. This story is a man that owns a building. His name is Bena. He let the part of the premises to another man. I think that was in 1990, a long time ago. And the transaction was done orally. There was no written agreement. You know, sometimes in Lagos State, or even any part of the country, your landlord comes to your maybe notify the landlord that you're interested in the building. The landlord just say, pay the money, don't worry about agreement. Most landlords do that. Yeah, so in this situation, it was entered orally. Now the rent was agreed to for 30 naira. Then by agreement, it was increased from 30 naira to 50 naira. Now the man died and left his children, and then the children became the step fighting. Now they resolved the matter, and one of the child became the owner of the property. So from 15 naira that the agreement was, The agreement immediately skyrocketed to 500 naira. This was in 1990. I'm just using it as a scenario to try to affiliate the case or reason the case with your current position. If you're million to 5 million naira, what will actually be the case? Increased, and then the tenant refused to pay the rent. The tenant instead wrote to the landlord and was like, I can't pay this rent, it's too much. From 50 naira to 500 naira, I cannot pay this rent. So they were going back and forth. He remained there. They went to court, from court to high court. They went to the court of appeal. So now there are many instances, there are many things that the court held. One of which is, can a landlord just wake up one morning and increase rent? Those and many other issues were raised at the courts. Now, remember that a landlord and a tenant, they have what we call an agreement. An agreement in the sense that the landlord and tenancy agreement, it's a contract that binds both parties. Yes, it's a contract. Now, the court held, and I quote, that the relationship of a landlord and tenants is a contractual one, like I said before, and being a matter of contract, its terms cannot be altered by either party without the agreement of another. So whenever your landlord gives you a notice for increment of rent, actually your landlord is making an offer. That's what the law is saying at this point. Your landlord is making an offer that it's left for you to either reject the offer or accept the offer. Your landlord, it cannot impose any increment of rent on you. That's the law. Now, if terms cannot be altered by either party without the agreement of the other, subject to the provision of any statute governing tenancy. Basically, the law is that you cannot alter the terms of an agreement except in line with an existing tenancy or landlord law in Nigeria. Yes, so that's the situation. Now, the rest agreed normally have, when they say expressly, like that's in writing, but when they say by implication, then that means is what's the name, maybe by orally or oral statement, or because you've stayed in the place before, and then you just the that's the normal rent, or your initial agreement before binds you subsequently. Women. Okay, now moving forward, remember that being a being a contractual decision to it will be Okay, Adams, what are you talking about? Hello, I love. Uh, okay, let me. I don't know if I can see your message. Can you repeat what you just said? Hello, I love. Thank you very much. Like the live so that others can join us as well. I'm here to teach you or tell you anything relating to law, anything about law. I am here for you. You can turn on your notification post or like the live so that others can as well join us. So now let's proceed. I love you too, by the way. So now, you cannot just wake up and increase your rents. Your landlord cannot just wake up. Just let this ring in your ears. When your landlord increase the rent, your landlord by law is making an offer that can either be accepted or rejected by you. So most times what happens is when you refuse the rent, when you that case issues you a notice. That's what happened basically in that situation. Of friend's point is accepted by not incorrect and maybe it's not good. It's a notice the normal. So let's proceed. Another thing again we should be looking at is there's something they call waiver or withdrawal of notice to quit. Now a valid notice to quit determines a tenancy. What it simply means is a valid notice to quit puts a tenancy to an end. Once there is a valid notice gets like is determined like there's no tenancy at that time. You guys don't have any landlord and tenant relationship anymore at that time once there is a valid notice to quit. Yes. So That determination by the court said this simply has been determined in it has basically has detention by if the landlord serve notice to quit, if it's doing at that point is. So just know that whenever you're giving a notice to quit, your tenancy has been determined. Know this one first. Whenever you're giving a notice to quit, your tenancy has been determined. So even if you okay, we are going to be going further, and we'll be looking at another case as well. Um another case as well. This is a case between a landlord and a tenant, like I said before. And in that case, the this is a 2002 case, so it's actually recent. The landlord inherited the property from his father. Now, so let's proceed. Network is really, 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 really messing with me. Now, remember that in this story that I was telling you guys about, a landlord increased rents from 2 million to 8 million. The tenants refused to pay. The landlord issued the tenant notice to quit. The tenant refused to leave. Hello, hello, I'm fine. Hope you're okay. So now the landlord had to what? Sue the tenants in courts. That's just basically the storyline. Now let's hear what the court said. The court was put with a question of, can the landlord unilaterally increase rents payable by the tenants? Remember, that is our topic for today. If a landlord can just stay on its own and increase. So now let's move forward. There is this discussion I want us to have, and it's whether the collection of rent by a landlord after issuing notice to quit amounts to a waiver of that notice. Remember, I told us before that when a landlord issues you a notice to quit, that tenancy agreement or that tenancy relationship you have with your landlord at that point has been what? It has been determined. It has ended. So now, if your landlord goes ahead to take an agreement, take money from you as maybe a rent from you, now is it going to be that you're entering into a new tenancy agreement, or you're continuing from the existing agreement? So let's look at what the law says. Now the law says that the fact that a landlord collected rent on a property still in occupation or possession of the tenant after issuing the tenant notice to quit cannot by law or equity amount to a waiver of the notice to quit, even where the notice has expired and the tenant refused to yield possession in law. The notice to quit, the notice to quit would subsist until it is formally rescinded by the landlord, and or where a fresh tenancy agreement is entered into. So don't always allow your landlord to start serving you notice to quit, because when your landlord serves you notice to quit, just know that that notice to quit is still valid even if you've paid your rent. Yes, it's still valid. Now, that is basically what the law is talking about. So basically what I want us to understand from today's lecture, and for someone else that will be watching the live stream later in your uh, um, um, maybe free time, understand the fact that first thing is that a landlord and a tenant, their relationship is contractual in nature. They contract agreements between both parties. Secondly, when you are issued a notice to quit, that notice to quit determines your agreement at that point. So whatever you're doing with your landlord, do not let your problem with your landlord get to the point where he issues you a notice to quit, because if he does that, then basically he has terminated your agreement. Another thing again you should take out from is that a landlord cannot just on its own increase your rent, because the rent you're paying is deemed and is seen in law as an agreement between you and your landlord. So if your landlord wants to increase your rent, your landlord, even if he sends it to you, is like an offer which is left for you to either accept or reject. And where in a situation where you reject the increment, he has to determine your tenancy by issuing you a notice to quit. So that's basically what the law is talking about. So also, you have to understand that where you're giving a notice to quit and you eventually, maybe you're still trying to get yourself together to leave, your landlord cannot eject you except your landlord goes through the normal procedures in court. And when your landlord does that, that is the only time, if a court issues an eviction order, that is when your landlord can legally, with the eviction order and the bailiffs of court, not just him, the bailiffs of court, that is when your landlord can do what? Go ahead to eject you out from the property. So I hope we are clear in all this, like I'm explaining it better for us to be clear. Okay, now moving forward, this is basically what I want to talk about today. And I am really very happy I am here, and some people are engaged in the live, and I am going to see you tomorrow. I come on live every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to discuss law. This week we'll be talking about landlord and tenancy basically. So if you're yet to subscribe, please do me well to subscribe on my YouTube channel so you will not miss out on the important education that we bring to you. Yeah. And don't forget to like, don't forget to don't forget to like, don't forget to turn on your notification so you'll be the first to know whenever I'm on live. Thank you so much, guys. Do you have any questions? Do any of you have any questions to ask me? Do you have anything bothering you? Do you think there's anything you need to know? You can ask me and I will respond to you. If you have any questions, anything in law, anything bothering you, just, ask me and I'm here. I'll respond and I'll answer you. So let me know what you think about. You can also send a DM, you can send a comment in any of my videos. Yeah, so basically that is it. So see you guys tomorrow and stay tuned as I bring to you another episode of landlord and tenant relationship. Thank you so much and bye. Bye.